Sorry. Okay, we're on now. Thank you, Christine. For those of you who are a little younger, we're going to, I put together just a few minutes ago, a little exercise routine. So if you want to grab your Cellerciser and put it in front of the screen, I'm going to take us through just a little routine. If you're a senior, you're welcome to do it too. Just instead of doing the Jamba run, do it as a Jamba rock or just as a side to side. But this is one for really helping to increase metabolism, for burning off calories as well. So with that in mind, again, if you know anybody who's a senior who might be dealing with some fitness issues, we're going to be talking about some specific movements more along the line for seniors just after we do this program. So I'm happy to say the app is getting better, and people are now able to create and save their routines. Last week when I tried to save it, it actually didn't, but that bug has been taken out and it's been upgraded to the new 13.1 Apple program, so that if you're having trouble, you can take it off your device, put it back on. You shouldn't have issues. But please, as you're using it, if you notice anything, please let us know so that we can continue to make improvements with it. We'll be doing additional modules and different movements that we'll be adding as well. Christine, we had some questions, and let's go ahead and do that first while everybody's getting their Cellercisers.
Testimonial you wanted to read?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that first.
Okay. This comes from Hope. I like that name. Okay. Hi, David. Just wanted to take a minute to let you know I love this app. No, she got to me right there. I just downloaded it and used it for the first time. I've had a Cellerciser for years and haven't ever found something this great that I wanted to stick with regarding rebounder instruction. I love the piece of it with no one talking and how you set it up. The simplicity of it is fantastic. I have a yoga app called Yoga Studio that was done similar to this, and I have had for years, where you could build your workouts from different positions, and it is very peaceful as well. I love that platform. Sometimes I just want peace. I loved walking in the woods when I was a kid for that exact reason. So nice that you did this app like this. I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate your passion for this product. You make a difference. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Hope. Appreciate that very much. And then you have questions.
Alrighty, I'll have to come by since I don't have my mic. Okay.
All right, good.
So we had a little discussion on there about the breathing and how sometimes it can cause some dizziness and possible vertigo. Can you give us some thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't believe that the breathing is creating the vertigo. The vertigo is already there, and Cellercise is exposing it. The breathing, however, if you do too much of it, can increase too much oxygen into the bloodstream initially, and that might make you a little dizzy. If you have a weakness and we overdo it, it can cause a little inflammation initially as the body is adapting, and that can exacerbate the weakness just a little bit as we work through it. But generally speaking, I haven't known anybody, and please, if you still have vertigo after 30 days, let me know. Because I've worked with a lot of people over the years, and most people, the issues of vertigo have dissipated dramatically within 30 days.
Okay, thank you so much.
You bet.
I've heard you say that Cellerciser highlights weaknesses in the body. Does this include suppressed, trapped emotions and memories? And if so, can these be cleared out by regular Cellercising?
Yeah, I'm going to speak from my personal perspective, and the answer is absolutely yes. You know, when we're bouncing up and down, we feel happier, we feel healthier, we have more endorphins, we have more oxygen, blood flow to the brain. We're in a different mood. Look at children when they're jumping up and down on a trampoline or on the couch or on the bed. They're not depressed. You know, when we're dealing with issues and emotions, we've worked a lot with people with post-traumatic stress disorders, people with depression. Cellercise helps to increase oxygen and blood flow. It helps reduce the stress and tension in the body, and you're weightless at the top of the bounce. When you're weightless, I believe that's when the body itself can communicate more effectively. And as you come down, the body gently decelerates and accelerates again. So you've got this constant expansion, contraction, opening up circulatory channels physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and I believe chemically as well, because we're stimulating everything as we're moving up and down on a Cellerciser, collectively as literally a whole. If I know, and again, this is from my perspective, this is from the people I've worked with over the years. We need to let go of the negative and not dwell on it. Now, some people in different modalities, they want you to deal with the negative emotions. Let's figure out these negative emotions. That's one approach. I don't like that approach, and let me tell you why. If you play in the pig pen, you're going to experience everything that's in that pig pen. If you focus on that which is good and promote that which is healthy, turning up the light, the darkness dissipates automatically. So if we recognize, it's kind of like meditation. If we're moving up and down on a Cellerciser and we recognize a negative experience, a negative emotion, okay, we recognize it. Now, and most people won't do this, now put a positive twist on it. See it not as it was, but as it can become. That's the same thing in a relationship. If you're arguing about issues, you gotta let them go. If you dwell upon them, that's playing in the pig pen. You're gonna get the pig slop all over you, and you're gonna have to deal with it over and over again. The fastest, in the true with meditation as well, as soon as we recognize the negative emotion, the negative condition, we don't want to dwell on it, we don't want to feed it, we want to replace it with something that's positive. So see ourselves not just as we are, but as we can become. They say, I say, persistence overcomes resistance. As we persist on focusing on that which is joyful, we become that which we focus on. Now, as we're moving up and down on the Cellerciser, we're stimulating an enormous amount of brain activity, up to 90%. The body's having to adjust, it's firing on all cylinders so that you don't fall off. Your motor skills, your motor responses are heightened. Well, those chemical responses occurring within the brain as well, and the movement up and down is helping the body fire at a higher level. As we release the negative emotions, fill them with positive ones. And remember, it's an exercise. It doesn't happen overnight. But as you continue to exercise that, you'll begin to see yourself not just as you are, but as you can become. You'll see the issues not just as they are, but as they can become. And it's not that the conditions around you ever will change. You may still have to deal with them. But the conditions within you start to change. And so you deal differently to those conditions around you. And so yes, that's an elaborate way of saying I definitely believe it can help release the emotions. And as we release them, replace them.
Okay, so we had a question come across that I think had pertained to something that you said.
Okay.
Does weightless mean that your feet leave the mat?
No.
Okay.
No, it's at that moment when you come up and then you start to come down again. It's at that moment when you're weightless just before you come down.
Okay. I would like to see Dave demonstrate the standing to sitting movement. Not sure how far back on the tramp you go. I'm assuming this is a repeated movement, which it really isn't, right?
No, well, you sit down once and then you stand up.
I'm wondering if you're trying to get any kind of bounce on the mat.
Now, on the app, if you have too many seconds after the sit and bounce, or the stand to sit, it'll stand to sit several times. Don't do that. It's just showing you that movement is now, you're preparing for that movement where you do the sit and bounce. So, yeah, you just stand once and just sit down, and then you get ready for your sit and bounce movements, or lifting the legs up for both legs. So and then when you're done, you just stand up again.
Okay, this is our last question, and then we'll go into the routines and then talking about seniors. So what's the weight limit? And we kind of want to talk about that for those that might.
Sure. Yeah, weight 350 pounds under warranty. If you're over 350 pounds, and many of our customers are or have been, you can still use it. somebody who's weighing that much more isn't going to be jumping high on the Cellerciser. The objective is to strengthen the supporting muscles and ligaments around the joints, the knees and the hips, through those basic movements that we teach that are in the Mr. Rebounder app. And as those ligaments and tendons become stronger, then we can start doing the Jamba walk. And we can start doing the Jamba run. We're still not jumping high or doing anything crazy. We're not going to do that at that weight. But as we do the breathing movements, the lifting the heels up and down, the running in place, we're increasing metabolism. And we're starting to burn off more weight. And as that happens, and as we lose the weight, well, then we'll become more active on the Cellerciser. So, yes, I frankly don't know of anything out there for somebody who's overweight that's going to be as beneficial as the Cellerciser will be, because it doesn't have the resistance or jarring impact that you would have if you were on the surface or on the ground. So we don't want to damage the hips. We don't want to cause more trauma to the back. We want to open up those areas of the body. And these movements literally help us to do that. Just standing here, lifting the heels up and down, bending in the knee, walking in place, working on the thighs and the knees, doing our breathing exercises to increase oxygen, which also increases metabolism. And we've talked about that in some of the previous YouTube videos.
Okay,
Good.
I think we're ready for
All right.
the Jamba.
Okay, well, this is just not you can double the routine if you want, but I didn't want to take up a lot of time. So this is just a little over 5 minutes, and we'll get a feel for what this app can do, and some of the benefits of what you can put together. And that being said, if you put together a routine and you like it and you think it should be part of the overall app for everybody, send me a screenshot of, just like this, of what the movements are. Send that to me, and we will create routines that all of us can share that are more exciting. And again, we'll create more movements as well, but eventually we'll have a social media family opportunity so that everybody that has the app can share what they've created, and we can all draw from it and change it up if we want. That's all part of the plan. So thank you again for all of your support. So what we're going to do first, I wish you could we bring the camera over here so they can possibly...
Okay, mine is going to be jiggling quite a bit, so I apologize as I move us around here.
They can watch me and the app.
I think we can.
Okay.
Can you pull us back just a little bit?
All right.
Okay.
I'll turn the volume up. And we're going to start off with the baby health bounce. Then we're going to do the hip rock. We'll do the twist. That's all warming things up. Then we'll do the power breathing, preparing the body for the aerobic activity. And then we're going to do the Jamba run for 30 seconds. I was going to do a minute, but I thought, nah, not to begin with. Then we'll do the ski patrol, jumping side to side. Then we'll do the Jamba run again. Then we'll do the hip rock, a little more intense. Then we'll do the power breathing again. And then we're going to do a sprint. Now you can go fast or slow. But all of these are going to be for 30 seconds, except for the breathing. And then we'll end up with the baby health bounce. So here we go. And we're going to sync the music to the movements better very soon. Okay, now as you're doing this, tighten the stomach. Breathe in and out. You're preparing oxygen through the body, even when you're doing this one here. If you deal with any kind of circulation problems, move your fingers while you're doing the movement. You're pushing down with the heel into the mat so that you can drop the hips and start to work and loosen and strengthen the lower lumbar at the same time. you can take the shoulders and move them up and down too. I like to do that because it loosens up the back even more and the shoulders as well. As I recall, we're going to do the twist next. Okay. This movement, as we're twisting, this is what's working on the colon and the intestines, as well as the liver, kidney, spleen, gallbladder, pancreas, the adrenals. This is the second most important physical activity I believe we can do. So as we're gently twisting, we can take our arms and also move them up. Do it gentle. You don't want to pinch any nerves. It takes time to open up the upper body. That may be too much for some of you. All right, the jamba run. Keep your back straight, your feet flat, and you're pushing down into the mat. Okay, now we're going to do the whippy ski patrol. Two reasons for this. One, you'll feel how intense the jamba run is. But it's also, this is pumping oxygen and blood flow back to the thighs again. Jamba run. And if you need to do the jamba walk, go ahead and do the jamba walk. And it takes a little coordination. I love it. It's harder to talk and do it at the same time. You don't need to take your feet off the mat. You're pushing down into the mat. Okay, this is a hip rock with your arms moving more. And if you can, remember, try to breathe, but try to tighten the stomach too. You're giving it a isometric and isotonic. Only do 6 of these. I don't want you to have sensitive lungs tomorrow. Okay, ignore that. I didn't do it right. You'll probably pass out if you keep doing that. It's too much on the lungs. He's going to do the twist while we catch our breath. And then we're going to do the sprint. You can tilt if you want to work stomach, or you can just run. And then we're going to just cool down. Keep your shoulders back too. You want to do it like this. It works at strengthening your posture as well. All right. You rock. Okay, for those, I don't know if we want to bring it back out here. Sure. Okay, for those of you who are seniors, there's a myriad of challenges you may have. Not so much because of the age as much as it is because of the mileage, the things we've been exposed to over our life. So with that in mind, we're going to start from the bottom up. So starting with the feet. Standing on the Cellerciser, simply lifting the heels up and down. Focus on the calf muscle a little bit. You're coming up to the balls of your feet. As you're coming up and down, you're working the calf muscle. That helps to reduce edema, swelling, and varicose veins. The weakest area in our body, again, is in the lower extremities. And so this is where people will normally feel it first. After about a week to 2 weeks, that feeling goes away because circulation improves and strength improves. And now another one that this is a little more advanced. So seniors, I would normally do this because of toes. People have toe problems, toe issues as well. If you, I don't want to break this, so thank you. So one of the techniques that I do is I set it next to a couch, and you can start off by taking your foot and rolling the toes a little bit. You can bounce up and down while you're rolling the toes slightly. Now keep in mind, you can be working on the arch of your foot as well. And it also works on the toes. Be very careful. You can get a cramp right there in the arch of your foot. So if you do, you want to get back here and start to open that up as much as you can quickly. So again, this is what I do. Everybody's a little different position. So we get like this, and you work your foot, and then you can work the other one. Eventually, what I do when I get on I hold onto a couch or something that's a lot more sturdy, and I'll get up on both the feet, and I just gently bounce up and down on the toes a little bit. And then I get back up, but get back off. That's an advanced movement, so you can start off just like this, okay? And then do it just like this. You know, I suppose I could get like this too. But you'll feel that. You'll feel the stretch in the toes. It starts to strengthen the arches. When you're done, this gentle movement here is good. But again, that's an advanced movement. So start off gently, please.
I apologize. They're not seeing your feet. Would you be opposed to taking your socks
Shame on me.
I know, but maybe if you're okay being...
It's Monday. I know better. All right.
Thanks everybody for saying that.
Yeah, absolutely. See, we're one big Cellercise family here. All right. So I have one of the Cellercise family members to thank for these.
Isn't that Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
She brought it. Okay, so standing here like this, you just kind of curl your foot. You're gently bouncing. And then same way the other way. And you can regulate the amount of weight. You know, when you, and remember I've been doing this for years, so for me to get up and get like this and bouncing up and down, you know, that's what I do. I'm not recommending that. That's just what I've done to keep my feet healthy and flexible. Okay, for the knees. Starting off again, we have the front part of the knee, we have the lateral knee. Knees are very important, and knee problems, and we've talked about this, are generally caused from weaknesses or injury in the supporting muscles and ligaments that support the joints. The skeletal system can never support itself. There's all this tissue, as well as ligaments and tendons, supporting the skeletal system. As we strengthen those tissues, they help support the joint more effectively so we can hold fluid there in between those joints. Very often we have seen hip problems, knee problems just fade away. We've got lots of written testimonials on that, and I'm a testimonial myself. So standing on it, we can just slightly bend. You can regulate the amount of weight by how far you come down or how high you stand up. But if you slightly bend to begin with and just walk in place. As you're walking in place, feet flat, you're working the thighs and the knees. As you get stronger, well, then you can sit down a little bit further. The objective, again, try to keep the knees over the feet and pushing down into the mat. That's to strengthen the whole front part of the knee. You can do several repetitions of that. Then to strengthen the lateral knee, I stand on one side of the mat, I step across to the other side, side to side, but I add a little hop to it. As I'm hopping side to side, I work the hips, inner, outer thigh, both sides of the knee. Very few exercises out there will do this. This has been very, very effective. As you become stronger, then you can put your feet together and do it more like a skiing program. It's the same burn feeling you would have if you were on the slopes. For the hips, standing on the Cellerciser, spreading the feet apart about shoulder distance, bending at the knee slightly, I rock side to side. As I rock side to side, I'm working, and you can feel it, all the muscles underneath the hips. Even for those of you who are younger, these movements, which are part of the general 10-minute routine that I do, which I will put on the app, these are working all the supporting muscles in the hip area. In athletics and sports, knee problems are a vulnerable part of our athletic performance. And having the knee strong in soccer, football, tennis, it doesn't matter. Whatever the activity, very important. So, and for rehabilitating, we work with therapists, physical therapists, sports trainers on these different movements. But this is for the lateral hip, both sides of the hip. As you're doing it, you can be thinking in terms of pushing down into the mat with your heel as well. It keeps the weight distributed from the top of the head through the spine all the way down to the heels of your feet. As you become stronger, then we want to increase flexibility as well. So lifting the heels up and down, doing a gentle twist. These are major movements, by the way. These are they're not small movements. You have G forces. It's not like doing it on the ground. You're weightless, a lot more weight, while you're pumping circulation and challenging all the tissue spaces at the same time. Great exercise. Now, more flexible, we can torque a little bit more, but you don't need to torque hard. You really don't. Then for the next step, and we've worked a lot with people that have sciatica and various different issues in the hip socket area. By keeping the feet spread apart, bending at the knee, lifting the heels up and down, but this time instead of twisting at the hips, we just twist in the hip socket area. We keep the hips pretty much straight ahead. But as we're gently moving up and down, we start to increase flexibility in the hip area. And all the time that we're doing this is also weight bearing. So it's helping to fortify and strengthen the supporting muscles and ligaments in the joint area. Okay, for the shoulders. There's several good movements, and you'll see some of them on the DVD that most of you received when you purchased the Cellerciser. If you take your elbow and stick it straight out in front of you, for example, you can help support it if you have a bad shoulder. And as you gently move up and down, if you can take your fingers and feel those muscles are doing this a lot, not a little bit, that's a lot. That helps increase a lot of circulation into the rotator cuff area and through all the muscles and ligaments in the shoulder areas. I believe it is far more effective than massaging the shoulder. And if you do massage the shoulder, that's great. Get on the Cellerciser when you're done, and it helps to get to those areas and reduce inflammation and help to get rid of any toxins and poisons more effectively because it activates the lymph system all at the same time. Very effective. So this one here, then you lift your elbow up over your head, and if you have to support it, great. Go ahead and support it. You do that for a few moments, and then do that for a few moments. And you can eventually, if you can, you do it with both shoulders. In front of you, up over your head. Just gently bounce for a few moments. Out to the side for a few moments. And you just continue in this movement. And don't overstretch, you don't need to. Just remember, when you get to a point of resistance and you're Cellercising, the Cellerciser, let that help to loosen up the resistance by massaging it instead of you doing it. Okay, and from there, we do the shoulder, we just grab underneath the elbow, kind of gently stretch, and gently move up and down. And remember, as you're moving up and down, all that tissue is doing this. So it helps to loosen up the shoulder. Do that for a few moments. Drop it down. Do the same thing on the other side. Do that for a few moments. And that's working the scapula area and the back as well as in the shoulders. If you take and you do movements, which I do like this occasionally, back and forth like this. This one here helps to open up the chest cavity, the shoulders, the scapula, the whole thing. Now there's other things you can do. That's all helping with the shoulders. This is one I feel more, which is coming back. And then this one here, where you can grab at your wrist like this, gently bounce up and down. If you can and you have the flexibility, grab at the elbows and bounce up and down. And the movement up and down is what's taking the tension and loosening it up. And then you can grab the other way and do the same thing. That helps to loosen up the shoulders. By taking the fingers and gently massaging the neck area, we can push circulation up into between the vertebral joints and up toward the atlas or where your skull rests. These gentle movements, tilting slightly and massaging in that area. It's when it loosens up, you'll feel it. You won't feel this stress or tension. And then gently we can do it the other way. And then massaging again. And you can take it even beyond that. So these are some of the basics. I'll share more at another time. There's so much more you can do on the Cellerciser, but one of the advantages is that the body is working collectively as a whole the whole time that you're pumping and increasing circulation to those body parts and functions. If you have any questions, give me a call. Remember, I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to give medical advice. If you have a medical condition, I have to say consult with a doctor or a health practitioner, or feel free to have them give me a call so we can talk about a program that would be most beneficial to you. Thank you. I'm sure what I've shared tonight is going to have a benefit to a great many of you. It has had a great benefit to me. On Wednesday, I officially turned the big 63. So I'm right there with you guys, really. And yet, I wish everybody could enjoy the quality of life that I know they can achieve with Cellercise. Again, it's not a typical rebounder. It's a Cellerciser. So there are exercises that the Cellerciser supports that other units may not effectively support. So be careful if you're doing it on something other than a Cellerciser, but we welcome you to the Cellercise family, irrespective, to enjoy a better quality of life with more energy, better performance, and greater joy. Thank you very much. We'll see you again next week.